So what's the problem? Man, for some reason I feel dumb around you. Anyway, when you sang in space, alien communication satellites picked up the sound waves.
T-minus 1 day before I get to go to space.
And they loved it. I knew I felt a connection when I was in space for real. I sensed the magic of the universe coursing through my foof. No, they transmitted this message to us.
Last week, a storyboard resembling a South Park episode made its way onto Reddit, igniting a frenzy among fans. The sketch, drawn in the show's signature style, appeared to feature a cartoon version of Katy Perry floating in zero gravity, her face humorously exaggerated, with her hair suspended in midair.
If they can call themselves a flight crew for sitting on a f***ing ship that went to space for 11 minutes and floated around while they contributed nothing, then I'm going to start calling myself whatever the f*** I want for whatever theme park I've been to.
It started with a whisper, a tiny leak, barely noticed, until it wasn't.
Greetings, I am Superlin, captain of the non-binary from the planet Endopharma. My species is gender fluid, so our pronouns can morph from Z-Zim to bleep blorp at any moment. And we pee out of our big green jugs. When we heard Katy Perry sing, it was triggering for us. I mean, who the hell makes a real spaceflight about themselves by trying to sing to an entire planet without consent?
Surrounding her were animated versions of Gayle King and reportedly P. Diddy, performing somersaults next to a rocket that had a rather suggestive shape. The irony? This scene seemed to poke fun at the concept of space tourism, highlighting the absurdity of marketing it as a groundbreaking venture.
So the funny thing is that if we really look at this, it's space tourism. I mean, the fact that they're trying to sell it as some revolutionary thing is f***ing hilarious.
Within minutes, the image went viral, and conspiracy theorists across the internet began speculating that South Park was gearing up to roast Katy Perry's recent space trip. The timing couldn't have been worse. Perry's 10-minute Blue Origin flight, which was touted as a moment of empowerment for women in STEM, had already become a target for memes. But this was different. This was South Park, the unfiltered satire machine known for lampooning everyone from Disney to royalty.
Katy Perry, I just want to congratulate you on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real. Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour.
Congratulations, Katy Perry, on being the first astronaut to sing in space for real. One character might say, to which she responds, "Thanks, Jeff. It was one small step for women, one giant leap for my lifetime's tour." According to unverified leaks from Animation Insiders, the show is reportedly focusing on one of the most bizarre rebranding attempts of Perry's career. Not her albums or the Left Shark era, but her highly publicized space mission, which was meant to elevate her image, but instead turned her into one of the year's most ridiculed celebrities.
By the way, it's Captain Perry now. I know you're just a simple businessman, but I went to space for real. That makes me Space Captain Perry.
What's particularly intriguing is that these leaks don't seem to be isolated incidents. Sources connected to South Park's production have hinted that the episode is part of the upcoming season 27 arc, dubbed Celebrity Delusion, with a working title of Cosmic Sellouts. If even a fraction of the described scenes are accurate, this could rival the infamous Panderverse episode in terms of biting satire. One source claimed that the animated Katy Perry character would float through space, delivering a grand speech about feminism and interstellar inspiration, only to glitch out like a malfunctioning AI and dissolve into sparkly dust.
You know that I'm always looking for little confirmations from the heavens, from my guides, from my angels, from my higher self. You know, when I ask for it and I'm open to it, it's pretty loud.
If true, the symbolism would be anything but subtle, but then again, subtlety has never been South Park's forte. The signs are pointing to a launch. The characters are sketched, and if these leaks hold any weight, Katy Perry might be headed back into the cultural spotlight, this time without a re-entry plan. Even before South Park allegedly picked up their pencils, the internet had already put Perry's Blue Origin mission under a microscope. On the flight were actual scientists, including rocket scientist Aisha Bowe and bioastronics research scientist Amanda Guan.
So let's take a look at who went on this flight. There was, in fact, a rocket scientist by the name of Aisha Bowe. There was bioastronautics research scientist Amanda Nguyen, and I'm sure I butchered that pronunciation, I'm so sorry.
The mission was intended to be a milestone, showcasing women in STEM, with media figures like Gayle King praising its potential to inspire future generations of female scientists. However, the online response was less about inspiration and more about incredulity. Many viewers perceived the event as a flashy PR stunt rather than a genuine scientific achievement. The backlash was swift and oddly specific. A clip of Perry kissing the ground after landing, as if she had just returned from Mars, went viral. One meme humorously edited the clip to show her kneeling in a Chuck E. Cheese parking lot, while another juxtaposed her footage with historic images of space pioneers like Kalpana Chawla and Sally Ride, captioned, "Where were their press tours?"
I looked up the capsule, and the capsule on the very front of it is the outline in the shape of a feather. And when I saw that, it was like a total confirmation, because my mom has always called me Feather.
Perhaps the most brutal jab came from a Twitter screenshot showing two alerts. Katy Perry has launched into space, followed 12 minutes later by Katy Perry has returned safely. The punchline? The shortest space arc in history. What could have been dismissed as a harmless PR stunt instead became a viral punchline. Online creators dissected the flight, comparing its altitude to that of the International Space Station and the Moon. Spoiler alert, it was nowhere near. Speculation grew that the space trip doubled as a music video shoot, amplifying skepticism.
And so I'm in space training today, and it's, there's a lot to digest. We're almost finished with the day, and they show us the capsule.
First pop star in space, one commenter quipped, still couldn't top E.T. So when South Park allegedly locked onto the mission, it didn't come out of nowhere. It followed a loud, digital narrative. Perry wasn't being mocked for going to space. She was being mocked for how it was framed. Sincerity and zero gravity that the internet simply didn't buy. If the leaked storyboards are even partially accurate, the rumored South Park episode could be one of the show's wildest and most unapologetically surreal celebrity send-ups in years. According to speculative reports, the episode doesn't just feature a version of Katy Perry. It allegedly launches her into a luxury escape pod alongside animated versions of Gayle King, P. Diddy, and a reimagined Jeff Bezos, all floating aboard a cartoon rocket with a personality.
And we've run simulations in another capsule.
Like, Katy Perry seems like a nice person. She seems, like she means well. But it is interesting how, from the videos she's posted, we don't know any of the crew that's going with her. It seems like it's kind of all about her.
Yes, the rocket is said to talk in a nasal, robotic voice, tasked with shuttling fragile celebrities away from Earth during PR disasters, dubbed the Influencer Escape Pod. Subtlety is clearly not the aim here. In one of the rumored scenes, a glammed-up cartoon, Katy delivers an impassioned speech about girl power and STEM while wearing a sparkling spacesuit labeled STEMinist. However, things are said to spiral quickly as she drifts through zero-gravity mid-performance, singing a fictional ballad titled Galactic Grace, only to dissolve due to what the show reportedly calls emotional instability in low orbit.
And tested the noise and what to expect and all these different things. And they reveal the capsule name. And the capsule's name is Tortoise.
Meanwhile, a cartoon Gayle King films a floating documentary, while Diddy's animated counterpart claims he's been orbiting for 3 years, and Bezos, now rebranded as a skincare mogul, tests space-age lip balm formulas on the crew. The chaos is satirical, cranked up to 11. If this episode ever airs, Perry might become the first celebrity to literally launch into space and return only to be sent straight into animated infamy. But here's the kicker. South Park didn't create this narrative from scratch. The internet practically gift-wrapped it.
A wave, just the most energetic wave just shot through my body. And I was like, whoa, what? This capsule's name is Tortoise? My mom calls me two nicknames, Feather and Tortoise.
What? Shut up, Katy!
Katy Perry's spaceflight had already morphed into a meme ecosystem long before the first cartoon frame was drawn. Then came the AI-generated reimaginings. Claymation of Katy Perry drifting off course, a silent film remix of her mission, and even a fake horror trailer titled Zero Gravity: The Descent of Katy P. All of this happened before South Park even moved, raising the question, if the internet already turned her space trip into comedy gold, what could South Park possibly add? The answer? Legacy.
But surely this trip had to have done something important for society and the world at large, right? Well, this voyage lasted 11 minutes.
In an age of instant commentary, confusion often morphs into mockery. It's not necessarily about Katy the person, it's about what she represents. South Park doesn't satirize individuals so much as symbols, and right now, Katy Perry symbolizes something larger, the unraveling illusion of celebrity depth. The idea that with enough branding and the right hashtags, even a 10-minute space ride can be sold as a feminist breakthrough is irresistible to South Park. Not because it's malicious, but because it's ripe for deconstruction. They don't just lampoon celebrities, they dissect narratives, looking for the moment when branding overtakes authenticity. When the performance of purpose replaces actual impact, that's where the satire lives.
I know some people are gonna disagree with me here, but 11 minutes really isn't that long, and you really can't accomplish that much in 11 minutes.
Not in cruelty, but in the absurdity of a system where optics reign supreme, and substance often takes a back seat. This is precisely what makes Perry's current arc such prime material for a South Park takedown. If the leaks are accurate, that's precisely what South Park is targeting. Not just Katy, but the entire aesthetic of space status. We've seen it before. Jeff Bezos floating in zero gravity next to flying Skittles. Influencers posing in custom space suits for what look like intergalactic fashion shoots.
And a lot of people are actually commenting on this. You have other celebrities, you have models, basically people that are just as vapid as half of this crew essentially are calling this out for the bullshit that it is.
Space has become a backdrop not for scientific exploration, but for spectacle. In that context, Katy's glittering jumpsuit and emotional touchdown moment feel less like innovation and more like performance art. Many are commenting on this disconnect. Other celebrities and models, equally criticized for their superficiality, are calling out the absurdity of it all. When the audience picks up on the gap between message and meaning, satire becomes inevitable. Even political commentators have weighed in. Megyn Kelly joked that the Blue Origin rocket resembled a flying nipple, a quote that quickly went viral. It's harsh, yes, but it illustrates how the public mood has shifted. These missions, once seen as aspirational, now read as exaggerated, even cartoonish.
What are the chances that I'm going to space on a rocket in a capsule with my symbol, the feather, called tortoise? And my mom calls me tortoise.
This might explain why the rumored South Park episode features not just Perry, but also animated versions of Gayle King, P. Diddy, and Bezos himself, all drifting through space in a rocket built for vanity rather than exploration. In the eyes of critics and fans alike, the real story isn't about reaching for the stars. It's about floating above the noise and returning more out of touch than ever. At first glance, it seemed like a slam dunk. A global pop star, a luxury rocket, and a message crafted to inspire. Katy Perry goes to space to champion women in STEM. But within minutes of the announcement, something felt off. The internet sensed it. The branding felt louder than the purpose. What could have been a feel-good moment began to unravel in real time. So, what do you think? Is Katy Perry's Blue Origin adventure a misunderstood attempt at empowerment? Or is it the final straw in a decade-long PR spiral? Let us know in the comments. Hit like if you saw this coming from orbit, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most unbelievable moments in celebrity culture. The next video is already on the launch pad, and you won't want to miss it.